I need somewhere to be able to hang my little kitchen towels, and I don't have a lot of space, so I found this piece of pallet wood which I've sanded down and I've painted using this chalk white furniture paint. I like the fact that the grain of the wood still shows through and that it has a few little imperfections. It doesn't worry me at all. But I think I'm going to use this size. And then I have 2 napkins which I am pondering with. I've got this with the lovely teacups and this. But if I look at the size of the teacups up against the pallet wood, I think that that's a better fit than having lots of these small ones. And I quite like a hint of that sort of creamy yellow behind that. So what I'm going to do at this point is just to separate the top layer of my napkin. Now napkins have different pliers, and if you're battling to separate them, I normally just rub my finger up against the corner, and that sometimes just helps you along the way like that. Or you could use 2 pieces of blue tack and pull them open, that's fine. I think there's still another layer. Looks a little bit opaque, I could be wrong. I'm sure there's another layer here. Right, so just make sure that you do check. When it's not very translucent, there generally is another layer. Yep, there's another layer. My trouble is I don't have nails because I've worked in horticulture and always have my sand in the dirt, so nails that are painted, polished, or even long are just not what happens to me. I have a sort of a softness for blue and white china. My Oma, which in English means old mother, she was actually from Australia, but she married my grandfather, who was Afrikaans, which is of Dutch origin, and so that's why she was called Oma, and she was my paternal grandmother. And then my maternal grandmother was just called Granny, but I know in the UK you call them Nan. Anyway, my Oma had this lovely blue and white china that I loved as a child, so I'm hoping to be able to incorporate one of these cups in my design so that will be just a little memory of her. And both my grandparents had beautiful, beautiful tea sets, and they used to have friends over for tea, and out would come the tea sets, not the mugs that we use today. All right, so I've separated half my napkin. I just need to use which images I'm going to select. I want whole images, so probably those 3, I would say. So let's loosely tear around these. I'm putting my thumb onto the actual napkin, and I'm just tearing up against that so that I don't have random tears, and I can control the direction which this is going. When you tear up napkins like this, try and keep these pieces that you don't intend to use just on the side until you have completed your project. I can't tell you how many times maybe a student, when I was teaching crafts, had torn something and then just needed a bit of the color of the napkin, but by that stage they'd sometimes thrown everything away in their haste. Depends on your personality type, but yeah. So let's just keep your things till the end in case you need a little touch-up spot. So that's rather nice. And then I've got these 2. That's nice. It's an ear of the cup on the left and an ear on the right. I think I'll use those 2 because that's a different shaped cup. So we'll separate that. And the background color that I have on my piece of pallet wood isn't pure white, so that's also nice. And I can use this lovely yellow background which has got printed text on it that says T42, that sort of stuff. I could use some of that in the background if I needed to. So let's put that one over there, and we'll tear up this one for the other side. I will be using matte medium to stick these down. You could use Mod Podge, that's absolutely fine, it will do the same thing. My preference for matte medium is simply it's not as sticky as Mod Podge, and I don't know, I just find it dries slightly quicker as well, which is really helpful. Right, nearly there. This is going to be a really quick project, and it's quite nice to have these things tucked away in your arsenal of things that you can do, because if you have to make something for a market day, or you have to mass produce something to sell, you know, church bazaar or something, or school fete, then you can do that. So this background has this lovely text, and if I need it, I can use some of that. So let's bring this forward, and I'm going to be using my matte medium. I'm going to use a nice soft bristle brush. This is a Taklon brush, lovely soft fine hairs. I have wet it already and dried it, so that means it stops this drying just up against the metal, which is the ferrule of the brush. That can easily happen. I'm going to not put any of the matte medium underneath. I'm going to just start directly on top, and I'm going to start by securing the cups on the ends first. I'm going to put quite a lot of the medium onto my brush and just try and get this napkin onto the surface as quickly as possible, because paper has this knack of stretching when it gets wet, and the faster you get it down, the less wrinkles you're going to have. But you have to have a fully loaded brush with loads and loads of product on, so that you don't tear your napkin in the process. Right, so I'm going to let that settle down on that one. Try not to overwork it. If you do get the odd wrinkle, just leave it, let it dry. Now I'm going to work on the second one. Position this in the corner here, doing the same thing again, loads of product and on as quickly as possible. This is practice, so don't stress, and if you make a mistake, just take it to the tap, rinse it and lift it off while it's still wet. It's easy to do. It's only a napkin. I know we get upset about things not working out perfectly, but if you've not tried it before, don't beat yourself up. Okay, so that's two of them down, and let's put this third one in the middle. And again, loads of product, whether you're using Mod Podge or the matte medium, get it down quickly. The napkins are very forgiving because they are so thin. That is why you can actually just paint the medium over the surface and not have to glue it down underneath. But there are other ways that you can do this. I mean, people sometimes put their napkins onto plastic sleeves and that. Right, so at this particular point in time, I have my images down, and I'm going to now just have a quick blow with my hairdryer on a very, very cool setting, because the products generally don't like that. I just want to see whether I need to put anything in the background here. I have a feeling I need to put a bit of color. In fact, why shouldn't I do it just straight away? So make sure that I've got my napkin facing the correct way. I'm just going to put a little bit of the background color in some of these gaps, maybe a little bit of this text, and I don't want huge chunks of it, so I'm just going to randomly put some just to break up the areas in between the cups. That's it. And if it goes to the back of my design or along the side, that's also fine. I'm just brushing that down. There's a little bit more of my text here that I can use. So I think I'll put this over here. Don't really want it over my design, but over in the corner like that is fine. And maybe a little bit here. Let's turn this one upside down so I've got the text. You'll notice with chalk paints that they do go pretty translucent when you wet them, but they will dry back to being opaque. Right, so that when you get a corner like that, bend one side over nicely and then do the second side so that you get them absolutely flat and secure. Right, I'm going to leave this to dry, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like when it is 100% dry. So now that my design has dried, I'm happy with the layout and everything like that, but I do feel, because of this color of the background, that I've lost some of my whites. So I'm going to go in with some titanium white pencil crayon and just gently, very gently, work over the surface. It does sound a little bit crazy, but you'll start to see as I'm working that it's just bringing the white forward again, where it has been a little bit lost in some of the spots where it's been the highlighter area. So just doing it very, very gently. I don't want to draw so hard that I actually go through on my cup. But if you look at the inside of that cup here compared to this one, you'll notice a difference. So watch this one now. I'm just going to go through with this. This could be a bit like you know, painting your hallway and suddenly realizing that you need to do everything else, but so be it. I'm just going to do a little bit around here, a little around the base here, like that, and a little bit here on the handle. Kind of scribbling more than anything else, not really doing anything wonderful, just letting your eye tell you where to go. And already you can see that this has made a huge difference. But it, as I said, it is a bit like working with paint, where you start painting one area and you think, oh, I need to do that, I need to do that. I think I'm just going to maybe pick up a little bit on the roses roughly. So I've got this color here, just a few little random squiggles just to lift the color, and I'll probably do the blue as well, and maybe the green, just because those are the focal points. So let's just find a suitable green. I want to know sort of maybe this color green, and I'm not spending too much time on it, just a little squiggle here and there. And there's nothing wrong with doing this, it's just enhancing it, just the same as you could have come in here with waterproof markers, that kind of thing. Right, let's match this blue up quite nicely. I don't want that one, I think I want maybe this one. I hope I'm not wrong. Anyway, let's just put a little bit on, we don't have to do the whole lot. A little bit here, and I'm going to tie it in with the others because this little one has got a vaguely blue pattern here, so that will now link nicely with this one. And I might just put an ever so slightly little bit of blue in the shadow here, just to tie that in. So I think I'm just going to go where it's darker, not worry too much about the lighter areas. A little bit under the lip of the cup here, down the side and along here. Right, now I'm happy because I've actually lifted the design. So let me pack these pencil crowns away. This is just a delicious box of colors. I got this from Amazon. It's by Artworks. Oopsie. And I have 3 rows, or 3 trays should I say, of colors, and this makes me very, very happy when I haul these out. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like having a box of those lovely Crayola crayons where you've got all the colors and everything is just beautifully laid out. So they come in a lovely metal box, and I haven't been paid to advertise their product, but I just have an enormous amount of fun with those. So the next part of our project here will be just to finish off the whole design, and I'm going to be using some of this chalk furniture wax. It's a light color. Putting some onto a paper towel and just gently rubbing it over the surface. This will give a nice matte finish, but it will also pick up the color and lift it a little bit. Don't need much, just lightly going over the surface. It has lifted ever so slightly some of the pencil crown, but I'm not worried about that. It hasn't smudged it, and that will protect it nicely. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in 3 white cup hooks, which I've got. And then I'm going to use some, I think they call it command tape, to stick it up onto the wall. So I'll just quickly grab those. So I've got my 3 cup hooks. I think I said I was getting white, but I changed my mind because of this yellowy background, so I got these brass ones. I have a ruler which is just, if I took the pieces past the markings, is slightly larger than 12 inches. Or 30 centimeters. I'm going to mark the 6 center mark, which will be the center, and I'm going to put my cup hook in probably about 1 centimeter from the edge. So I'm just going to use that. I've got a little pokey tool here that I'm going to use just to start the hole. So that will be the first one. So let me do the other marks before I start screwing in, because then I can't use my measure down flat. So I'm going to use it as a guide, And I think I want the next one to be about 2, what should we do, 25? Yeah, so 5 centimeters in there. We'll do that one there, and then we'll do this one 5 centimeters in here. There we go. I just want to make sure that this one is a centimeter up, because I think this one's off. Yeah, but that doesn't matter, it'll be covered by the hook. That one, this one is fine. Right, so I'm just going to start to screw in the cup hooks. Once they start to grip, it goes quite quickly. Alright, I'm going to do this quickly off camera so as not to bore you, and I'll come back and show you the finished product. So there we go, we've got all the hooks in. This one was a bit difficult, I think there must have been a little knot in the wood, but it's come in rather nicely, and I'm very happy with that. It's going to be a lovely addition to hang up on the wall. It's not perfect, it's got its own imperfections, but you know what, it's lovely. If you wanted a vintage vibe, you could get some brown shoe polish, the cake kind, rub it across the edge here. You could use a little bit of brown paint, or even one of your distress ink stamp pads you could just use to go around the edges if you wanted a more vintage vibe. So let me know what you think in the comments. I'm quite loving that, and going to go up into my kitchen with a bit of command tape. Thank you for joining me. If you've enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing to my channel, and then don't forget to switch the notification button on. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.